Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I want to share with you the latest from attorney John Deaton. He put a lot of effort into sharing some thoughts on the SEC's approach in attacking crypto, and frankly, it's a lot bigger and unfortunately worse than most people even realize. And let me ask you a question. I'd love to hear your perspective on this. I guess you listening to this. Do you want Gary Gensler and the SEC to attack ETH? Do you want them to? Because obviously we've uncovered all sorts of slimy stuff, and mind you, I still want ETH to do well, I'll say that. ETH's the first cryptocurrency I ever purchased, but seeing all the slimy stuff with Joe Lubin and everything that we've been uncovering for over a year at this point, based on that, do you want the SEC to go after him? No, seriously, drop a comment below. I'm going to tell you my perspective now, though, and don't let it taint what your answer is. But I say no. I am done with the SEC going after cryptocurrency and this entire asset class, because think about this. So, actually, as John Deaton points out, two wrongs don't make a right, okay? So the fact that XRP and the XRP community and Ripple is attacked doesn't mean that it's okay for Gary Gensler to attack another cryptocurrency, which I hold and many of you hold. I sure as hell don't think that. But that may be on the table, because there are different people running the SEC right now. There's so much at stake here right now, and John Deaton just lays out the concerns perfectly. So the only people that perhaps should be happy, and this would be really selfish if they aren't okay, would be the Bitcoin maxis, the people that want every other coin to fail. Because even though it's not a certainty that the SEC won't attack Bitcoin, as far as I'm concerned, it's a virtual certainty. If it's not 100%, then maybe it's like 99.9% or something like that odds that the SEC is not going to be attacking Bitcoin. So that community, okay, they actually probably are safe. Even Gary Gensler has stated that he doesn't think that Bitcoin is a security. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So here's what Attorney Deaton had to say. And this is the latest thread from him. This is from just yesterday. Is ETH safe from Gensler? Ethereum's transition to proof of stake in September is a dangerous bet on decentralization that could attract the eyes of regulators. See below. Can we truly rule out Gensler suing ETH after the move to proof of stake? Well, did Gensler agree with the Hinman speech? Some fear Gensler may use the transition to proof of stake as a basis to officially reverse Hinman's comments. And it's worth reminding everybody here. If you go back to Gensler's comments from probably 2018, before he was SEC chair, ever knew that might be in his future, Gary Gensler said publicly, all under one breath basically, that XRP and ETH both securities in his opinion. He said that the case could be made. And that is what he thought at the time. What's changed at this point? I'm guessing nothing. If anything, you switch to proof of stake, it will open up the door for him to easily argue that ETH is a security if he wants to go that route, because he refuses today to say that ETH is not a security. And so Joe Lubin, maybe he's felt super safe this whole time, but perhaps he shouldn't, because there's different leadership, And it's a shame that it's, whether or not you get sued depends on who's in charge of the SEC at the time, rather than, rule of law and legal precedent. That's disgusting. But that is how it is, unfortunately, right? And Attorney Deaton continues. Why did Gensler say he is only comfortable calling Bitcoin a commodity and not include ETH? Did Gensler disagree with the free pass? Watch Gensler below 2 months before Hinman's speech. The venture capitalists, Andreessen Horowitz, the paperwork in the Perkins Coie and Safe Harbor for ETH. Gensler didn't believe the VCs would convince the SEC a token could start out as security but transform into a non-security, and said, let a court decide. And I'm not going to play the actual video, but there was a video shared by XRP community member Real XRP Boy. And John continues, he says, unfortunately, Bitcoin maxis like Michael Saylor will welcome the SEC going after ETH if it were to happen. Yeah, and I'll just pause a note, and I covered this in a previous video in recent weeks. Michael Saylor, he started verbally attacking ETH, claiming that it's clearly a security, and he wants the SEC to go after it. Now, his rationale was not the best. It certainly was not the best. I don't think he sufficiently understands how. He's a really smart guy. He's a little eccentric, but okay, fine. But I don't think he sufficiently understands the Howey test in the way that he was speaking about it. Anyway, moving on. Because I've highlighted the conflicts with Hinman and Clayton regarding ETH's free pass, some folks mistakenly think I support the SEC going after ETH or its founders. Not true. Recently, I was very critical of Vitalik Buterin over his childish and hateful comment about XRP holders losing their rights for protection because Ripple executives described ETH and Bitcoin as Chinese-controlled technologies 2 years ago when Ripple was being sued by the SEC. Although Vitalik's comment was demoralizing and stupid, it doesn't mean I would support the government attacking today's ETH the way it has other tokens. Tokens like XRP ETH, Algo, ADA, XLM, etc., traded for 5 to 10 years, should be treated as commodities, not securities. If the SEC had sued Consensus, Ethereum, Joe Lubin, and Vitalik Buterin instead of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson, alleging today's ETH a security, not limited to ETH's ICO, I would have sued the SEC. If they file tomorrow, alleging such nonsense, I will do it again. The other reason some believe Gensler might go after ETH is to try and mitigate the claim that the SEC is choosing winners and losers through selective enforcement. Recently, at a congressional hearing, SEC Enforcement Director Sebby Gerber-Gruhl, of course, testified, quote, "The SEC doesn't engage in selective enforcement," end quote. That's laughable, isn't it? Doesn't engage in selective enforcement. These pricks. John continues. Not true. I thought Gruhl's testimony about selective enforcement was outright silly. Not true and unnecessary. Watch and see how defensive he gets to an inquiry by Warren Davidson. A person gets defensive when he knows the statements are true. And again, I'm not going to be playing the videos. I tend to not play videos on my channel just so that people can't even make claims of copyright abuse. So not that I even would, because you're actually, in certain ways, you're actually allowed to use clips and this and that if you're commenting and all that type of stuff. I understand that. But if I don't do it, then there can't even be a claim against me. So that makes, to me, that seems to make life easier. So that's the route I tend to go, with rare exception. Which is why I do a lot of transcribing myself, which is extra work, but I think it's safer and a better route. Anyway. I digress. So anyway, John continues. I think his testimony was silly and unnecessary because the SEC, of course, engages in selective enforcement. It must. Theoretically, the SEC selects cases that it hopes have a deterrent effect on others. The SEC can't sue everyone that may have sold an investment contract. There are over 10,000 crypto assets. Of course, the SEC will select the ones it chooses, i.e., if you go in and cooperate. All the enforcement director had to say was, we can't sue every crypto that might be a security at the same time. We do our best with the resources we have. Instead, Gruhl got very defensive and said, quote, I have to push back on that. The SEC has the finest people holding companies accountable, and the SEC doesn't engage in selective enforcement, end quote. Again, completely laughable, right? And then John says, why respond that way? Because of consciousness of guilt. A lot of ETH people don't like that I and others have highlighted massive conflicts of interest and gross appearances of impropriety and have been pushing for an investigation. Some fear Gensler will go after ETH because of the growing pressure calling for an Inspector General investigation. The crypto industry needs to stop crossing its fingers, hoping Gensler doesn't sue them, and accept Gensler intends to crush the crypto market so his incumbent buddies can come in and buy it up. After the incumbents have a much bigger slice, then Gensler will become more reasonable. And so it's possible. Other than that, so that's a perfectly reasonable thing to speculate, because like why else are they doing this? Obviously, they're connected to these other firms. I mean, there's the likes of BlackRock, obviously. Other than that, if he thinks it pads his resume, and then he could move even higher, maybe up to the Treasury, something like that. Of course, there could be things, and this is all speculation, but why is he doing what he's doing? Because if you look at some of what Gensler said 4 years ago versus what he's claiming today, it doesn't all quite match up. It's like, I'd love to see those two different Gary Genslers from different time periods debate each other. Because one's a liar, and a big liar, and the other one's just wrong. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Attorney Deaton continues. After the incumbents get a much bigger slice of the crypto pie, Larry Fink, Jamie Dimon, or whoever will give Gensler new marching orders, and then certain cryptos will be touted as investments of a lifetime. To be clear, I don't want the SEC to go after ETH or its founders. I actually don't blame the ETH founders for pushing to get ETH regulatory clarity. Ripple was trying to get it for XRP before and after the speech. I do blame them for hypocrisy and the lack of grace they've displayed, like celebrating the enforcement action against XRP. Yeah, this is positive. That's one of the most short-sighted approaches that you could have possibly taken. Then you got Joe Lubin, this freaking guy. He actually praises the SEC. He's one of the only people in the world of crypto that says the SEC's doing a great job. Might that be because he got the golden free pass? That's funny how that works, isn't it? Attorney Deaton continues. The SEC just filed a case versus Dragon Chain. The Dragon Chain cryptocurrency is an ERC20 token. It is immutable and governed by the Ethereum network. Does this mean the sufficient decentralization that Hinman, Clayton, and Hester Peirce discussed and accepted is now out the window under Gensler? Pending in court right now, Ripple XRP case in the Second Circuit, Library LBC case in the First Circuit, and Dragon Chain case in the Ninth Circuit. There's a plan being executed. Also, the Wahi case is a case versus individuals selling 9 tokens the SEC now calls securities. Yet the SEC didn't sue Coinbase for selling these so-called unregistered securities. The SEC will no doubt get the former product manager to take a deal. The DOJ will threaten serious time. Talking about prison, of course. Gensler will flip the former product manager to help build a case against Coinbase. If the SEC truly believes these 9 tokens are illegal securities, why not sue Coinbase or issue a cease and desist regarding these tokens? Because he's not ready for Coinbase and its legal team, not just yet. In March, I predicted by the end of the year, the exchanges will be sued. About a year ago, I did a video for Crypto Law warning the crypto world that every altcoin was in danger, including ETH. Some ETH folks said I was ridiculous and that Ripple case was just about XRP and XRP alone. Then came Library and the LBC case. Then came the Wahi case, alleging 9 more tokens are securities. Then came Dragon Chain and the Dragon case. People will point out that Dragon had an ICO, but the complaint isn't limited to the ICO. It includes present-day secondary market sales of Dragon. And so, let me pause here. This is why I'm concerned about just being involved in crypto in general, honestly. The wild speculation, I'm here for it. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me in the least. I totally understand that. It's truly volatile. But see, that's what creates opportunities. So volatility is the purpose of investing. Most volatile asset class on the entire planet ever to exist. I'm here for it. Love it. So what am I actually concerned about as a crypto holder? The SEC ruining my chances for truly insane, life-changing wealth effectively. That's what scares me. The SEC coming in and wrecking it for me. Because I'm sitting here thinking, like, I don't believe that what I hold are secure. Of course not. I don't think any of them are securities. But if the SEC can make claims and just destroy all this potential, destroy my actual net worth, because I'm sitting here wondering, which cryptocurrency do I hold that's going to get attacked next by the SEC and Kim Jong-Gensler? That's what makes me nervous operating in the world of crypto. That's where the biggest risk is, in my humble opinion. Now, I'm still optimistic for the future, and so I'm just going to play the odds. I'm not going to let Gary Gensler scare me out here, and maybe things go to hell and all my crypto goes to zero because of Kim Jong-Gensler. That might happen, but I'm optimistic for the future. And we'll see here. If once XRP gets through the gate, at least I'll feel a lot better, and I think that's going to happen. We'll see, but I'm very optimistic. And so, Attorney John Deaton shared a quote from Ben Armstrong, who of course runs the BitBoy Crypto YouTube channel, and Ben Armstrong on August 27th wrote, "Wow, this is big if true. XLM, Zcash, and Zen considered to be next in line for enforcement from SEC. Could this be the moment privacy coins come under attack?" Yeah, and of course XLM's not a privacy coin, but yeah, Zcash obviously, and I actually don't really know anything about Zen, but yes, I wouldn't be surprised if that. I mean, hell, XL, especially if things don't go well for XRP, it would just seem like a no-brainer for the SEC to go after XLM. I mean, the tech's similar. You'd think it'd be an somewhat easy case, if they actually won. Now, I don't want them to. I also hold XLM, so I'll just be like, okay, well, there's another bit of my net worth getting attacked by Kim Jong-Gensler and the terrible humans over at the SEC. Anyway, Attorney Deaton continues. "If you're a Bitcoin maxi, this will be considered great news because theoretically it will drive money that would have went into altcoins into Bitcoin, at least temporarily, until there is more clarity regarding alts. But if you're not a Bitcoin maxi, you need to be rooting the SEC loses these cases, or at least the judges distinguish specific early sales versus today's sales in the secondary market. Some XRP holders will welcome the SEC going after ETH, but two wrongs don't make it right. Today's ETH isn't a security, even after the merge. Just because it may appear more of a security than XRP or other tokens doesn't make it one. Like BG said, Brad Garlinos, it's time to end tribalism. Golf clap for Mr. Deaton, everybody. That's a fantastic thread. And there was an article that was covering part of the thread from you today, and they ended up highlighting this part, which I think is already on my screen anyway. But somebody wrote to John and said, John, surely going after ETH's founders would not be wrong. Aren't they corrupt? We have the videos, we have the timeline. The reasons SEC are after Ripple/XRP is to slow process down for incumbents to catch up, and XRP/Ripple need to be fully vetted. It's the only rational reasons. Attorney Deaton did respond, and he wrote, I'm not saying the government shouldn't go after bad actors. ETH, like XRP, is alphanumeric code. If the SEC labeled ETH itself as security, it would be wrong. Going after individuals who broke the law is different. So you go. Perfectly reasonable approach. Let me know what you think, but I'm going to wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.